Hey, I'm Chris and welcome back. Look, I went down to the state surplus auction a few weeks ago to see if I could buy some Crown Vics to do a flip on. Now, they had 22 Vics at the auction and a handful of other cars and trucks, and I've got some really good cars at some really nice prices at this auction before. But this was the first time that every single one of those Crown Vics were either busted up or just plain worn out, and they were not worth much to me. But regardless, I figured if I can get the cars for the right price, I can make the repairs, sell them, and still make a few bucks. But once the auction and the bidding started, I got wildly outbid on every one of those cars. And that kind of made me realize maybe we really are at a peak of the number of Crown Vics being decommissioned and being sent out to the marketplace. Maybe we really are at the end of these really nice cars being sent out for sale. So there's some other YouTube guys out there that talk about this. Mr. Random, for instance, and Gary at WJ Handy Dad. They talk about the same thing, but this is my first-hand experience realizing this for myself. Now, this also made me realize, is there a way to prove through analytics and through some metrics that maybe we really did peak in the number of good cars being sent out there for sale? And so I decided to take a look back at the past 3 years of Crown Vic sales here at the Delaware Surplus Auction. And of the 175 cars that I looked at and I studied, I came up with some pretty interesting analytics. And I want to share some of that with you. But before we get there, let me give you just a real quick glance at some of the cars that sold at this past auction. They're generally poor condition that they were in and the selling prices. And then I'm going to share with you what I believe is the looming end of the Crown Vic market. The 22 Vics that sold at this auction had an average selling price of $1,539, and they had an average mileage of just over 137,000 miles. Plus, these cars are what I consider to be in fair condition, and to somewhat poor condition too. When I went back and looked at the past 175 other Vics that sold over the past 3 years, I found their average selling price to be 18% less at $1,260. Plus, collectively, their condition was just generally better. So that says to me that there were a lot of folks at this auction spending a whole lot of money for cars that just historically just weren't worth it. Also, I'm seeing the average mileage on these auction cars get lower and lower over the past 3 years. For instance, in 2015, the average mileage on a Vic sold here at this auction had just over 150,000 miles on it. The following year, that average mileage decreased by 2%, and then in 2017, it decreased another 7%. It gave a total swing of almost 13,000 less miles on cars in 2017. So to me, that says that the state of Delaware is just dumping off Vics at the auction at a faster pace and with lower miles each year. The average age of all these cars remained pretty much the same at 11 years old. Also, the average selling price year over year is fluctuating without much justification. In 2015, the average selling price was $1,564. In 2016, the average selling price was $1,012. And last year, in 2017, the average selling price was $1,370. So what's the future look like for the Crown Vic market? Well, the last Crown Vic sold in the United States was 7 years ago in 2011. Here in Delaware, it's crazy rare to see a Crown Vic still in service, as the majority of them have all been replaced with Tahoes and Caprices, Chargers, and Explorers. Now, through my analytics, the average age of the Crown Vic sold here at auction is 11 years old. So if that trend continues, that means the very last Crown Vic sold at auction here in Delaware is going to happen in 3 years. But in the meantime, the number of Crown Vics going to auction is going to get smaller and smaller, and I think the condition is going to get worse and worse. So yeah, maybe the peak's already happened. Maybe we already are now in the decline of the Crown Vic market until the very end. So I hope some of this helps. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. And as always, thanks for watching.